Hello, everybody. My name is Keith. I am back from Istanbul, Turkey. So much to unpack in this video, so let's get to it. I had the privilege of being in Istanbul over the weekend to see Manchester City become the champions of Europe and to finish the story, to complete the trifecta, the treble, the Premier League title, the FA Cup, and the title that has eluded them for too long, the Champions League. No more can you say that Manchester City isn't one of the top teams in Europe. Yeah, they are. They're Champions League winners. Some people might not like that, but they're just going to have to lump it. Now, let's talk about this trip to Istanbul. I was one of approximately 20,000 Manchester City fans around the world that was able to get a ticket. One of two Manchester City fans here in Ottawa, Ontario, that was able to go and represent our supporters club here in Ottawa. Now, that sounds kind of funny. Supporters club, like, is it a bunch of addicts? Well, maybe. We're all addicted to Manchester City, but it's a wonderful group of people that I have the privilege and the honor of watching games with week in and week out, and have been doing that for years. So when the opportunity to go to Istanbul came up, I was gone. And I'm very happy that I went. And, before I went, I did my due diligence. I went on the YouTube and I checked out what are the things to do in Istanbul. But as any place I went to, I also kind of checked out the flip side of things and try to understand the different types of scams and things of that nature that they have there. It's always good to be aware of these things. And I tell you, I got pickpocketed. Now, I'm going to tell you I got pickpocketed, but I'm going to say don't cry for me, Argentina, because it could have been a lot worse. Let me break it down for you what happened, because I don't want this just to be a video of, hey, tell me about your trip in Istanbul. I want this to be educational so you can protect yourself. So I went down, and this particular day that your boy got pickpocketed, I was wearing a pair of cargo shorts, similar to these. Just in case you're wondering, yes, these are size handsome. Now, what I did was I came down with, I can find it here, bear with me. Now, this is kind of a weird thing I'm about to tell you, but I went down with 3 wallets. Now, what I usually do, let me give you a dramatization, shall I? Normally, I've got my over-the-shoulder bag here. So in my over-the-shoulder bag, I had my main wallet, poof, in here. That's zipped up, and I'm walking, and this is in front of me like this, and I've got a hand on it. Then I had 2 other wallets, which went into the side pocket here of the cargo shorts, because the main pockets aren't deep enough. Now, I traveled with about 1,500 Turkish lira, which is about 110 Canadian dollars. The majority of that was in the small wallet, which was in my over-the-shoulder bag. And then on either side, I had significantly lesser amounts, kind of like decoy wallets. So the mentality behind that was, unlike a lot of the other places that I've traveled to this year, you do need some cash to get around in Istanbul. You can't just tap everything. You do need to have some cash. But I didn't want to be in a position where if I'm opening up my wallet, all of a sudden I become an even bigger target. So I had what I would call my decoy wallets in my side pocket. Open it up, had like some 20 liras in there, or denominations, of 20 liras in there, and that's what got pickpocketed. I'm 90% sure, and this is where I take some responsibility for it. I was on a bus and I was sitting in the outer seat, dozed off for a little bit, woke up, it was gone. Kind of a dumb move. I can't say that I've fallen asleep on any other public transportation. So I do take 40% of the responsibility. The other 60% goes to the fact that the person who robbed me is a POS. And I mean, it is what it is. These things are going to happen. But they got what equates to about $20 Canadian. So I'm not, as my friend Abby would say, butthurt over it. It could have been a lot worse. I came across several tourists who had their passports taken, who had their wallets taken, who had significant amounts of money taken, who had their cell phones taken. I'm very fortunate I wasn't in that grouping. It still sucks. Here's the thing though. The wallet that they took looks similar to this, but here's the thing. This is where it becomes a little sad. It had a Manchester City logo on it. It had a Manchester City logo on it, and in it there was no ID. It was just the cash and a couple of membership cards from previous years. Well, joke's on you, loser, because guess what? I already have my backup Manchester City wallet. It was in my closet the whole time. I'm like, when am I going to use it? So I'll use it now. So, robbers, you didn't get me. Now, I want to show you some of the things that I got on this trip, because I did a little bit of shopping. First of all, I'm breaking this open for the first time. I got a Champions League pillow I can rest my head on this and have my Champions League dreams. Because did I mention that Manchester City won the Champions League? I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Champions League title we will keep. There it is, baby, right there. Champions League pillow. Love it. And right after the game, I'm talking final whistle. Wouldn't you know? Oh, my goodness. They're smart about the merchandising. They were selling these Champions League scarves. Had to get me one of those. Pick that one up. Let's just do not an unboxing, but an unplasticking, I guess. Your boy's not a big golfer, but I do like the Man City golf shirt. So this is the Champions League edition. Pick that up. And on top of that, tell me, look at this. Want to see some silky smoothness coming up right here at you? Picked this up. Nice little Manchester City Champions League jersey. I like this. And last but not least, well, not second last but not least, I should say, because a couple other things. Live in Canada, gets a little chilly here. You'll be seeing this in my videos in my fall ensemble. Nice little sweater. Not so much right now because it's like 20-some degrees. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without getting the program. So definitely some shopping there. I will tell you, if you're traveling, I cannot recommend, this isn't sponsored by any way, but I'll mention it, the Tom Talk bag. And the reason for that is you got a front pocket in here. And then on top of that, you've got your main pocket in the middle. And then in the back, if you want to put like your wallet or other personal things, you got like a back pocket here. I love this bag. I usually use a carabiner and hook it on with me. So it's not going anywhere. And again, the one other thing I'll tell you on the zippers, I even use a little, you can see that little carabiner clip on the zipper. So again, I was very fortunate. Most people don't say that when they get, robbed, but I do feel very fortunate that it could have been 100 times worse. I got out of Istanbul with all of like my main things, my passport, my ID, my kidneys. So I'm very, very happy about that. $20. Okay. Not the end of the world. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and I'll use this as an example here. When I got back into Ottawa, my luggage was delayed. I didn't get it till the next day. Again, not the end of the world. But the reason that I knew that it was delayed is because I've always said there's two types of luggage, carry-on and lost. I throw an air tag if I'm checking luggage. Even if I'm not, quite frankly, I throw air tags pretty much on everything. So as soon as I arrived and I dialed up my app, I was able to see that my luggage was still in Toronto. Now, if you're coming at me, you're like, well, Keith, that's great. I don't use Apple. Samsung has it as well. You can get it through Android also. I'm not a big fan of the tile ones. I've used those before, but I prefer the air tags. So I would definitely recommend putting those on your things so you know where they are. A lot of people have said to me, hey, Keith, would you go back to Istanbul? The honest answer to that question is no. And it's not necessarily because of, getting pickpocketed. To be perfectly honest with you, there's no point in my life where I was ever thinking, oh, geez, I want to go to Istanbul one day. I went there 100% to support Manchester City and this once in a lifetime opportunity. This was just a fantastic opportunity to see them in a Champions League final, which with all due respect doesn't happen every year. That's just not a thing, right? There are so many great teams in Europe, and the fact that they were able to have this phenomenal season, I wanted to be there for it. Outside of that, Istanbul is an absolutely beautiful city. There is wonderful architecture. I have a friend of mine who's probably more excited that I was going to be in the same city as the Hagia Sophia than anything else. And the mosques there, the architecture, it's beautiful. There's a lot of wonderful things to check out there. Here's the thing. If you're planning a trip to Europe and you're doing one of those cross-continent excursions where you're going to be in multiple countries, and Turkey is one of them, then by all means, check it out. Would I go just to go to Istanbul for a weekend like I just did? In all honesty, probably not. Just because it wasn't really on my radar to begin with. I went, I saw a lot of cool things, and I'm good. I'm ready to move on and check out some other places. But again, like any place, if you're going, do your due diligence, do some research. Listen, in this past year, I've had the opportunity of going to Vegas. I've had the opportunity of being in New York City. It could have happened in any of those places, and I was very, aware of security in those places as well. It just so happened that it happened in Istanbul. It doesn't make me look at the people of Turkey any different because there are douches everywhere you go. So at the end of the day, had a fantastic time. Oh, and last thing, I almost forgot today's sponsor. A lot of people have been like, oh, Keith, you've been whining about being on this bus for 3 hours, da da da. Okay, first of all, you weren't there. And I would love to throw you, if you're one of those people who's coming at me, I'd love to throw you in a super warm place for 3 hours. But aside from that, today's sponsor is Gillette. Listen, if you're going to be on an Istanbul bus for 3 hours, you want to make sure that you smell relatively fresh. So when you've got your arm up, you're not knocking anybody out. And thank you, Gillette, for getting me through that on an Istanbul bus for 3 hours. If it can help you on an Istanbul bus, it can help you in any different situation. You're meeting the in-laws for the first time, maybe some Gillette. You've got that performance review coming up. Think about Gillette. You've got that tough conversation with your significant other. Think about some Gillette. So thank you for today's unofficial sponsor. Anyways, at the end of the day, it's the 5-year rule, right? 5 years from now, is it going to matter that I was on a bus for 3 hours? Of course not. What's going to matter is the fact that I had the opportunity to go to check out Man City, completing the treble, and it was a phenomenal, phenomenal time overall. And if that only cost me $20 in an old wallet, and now I get to break in a new wallet, which, by the way, has been sitting in there for the last couple of years, I'm okay with it. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you have any questions about your upcoming trip to Turkey, or if you need more travel security tip recommendations, holler at your boy. I'll talk to you guys later. All the best. Bye.